Hey guys, I was watching the '07 show earlier today, and it was a good show, but one of the big concerns whenever they were talking about alpha clones that people had was high-sec ganking, and will alpha clones be a really big menace and threat in high-sec? Because if you can get 10 alpha clones trained up for free, and then maybe you have a main that's an omega clone, but you can just create 10 alpha clones that are going to be your high-sec ganking, bot army almost, but not bots, but your little army of alpha clones ganking for you. That's a pretty exploitable thing to do. I could have my main, which makes plenty of ISK to support that little fleet, and to even buy skill injectors and get them all up to skills or whatever it takes to get those guys really quickly to the skill points they need to be. And then if I can run 10 accounts at once, assuming my computer can do it and assuming I can manage that many accounts at once, which is certainly possible with the tools that are available out there, then I could have access to a pretty powerful weapon that's very likely to be abused. Now, the two solutions for this problem that people have put forward have been, one, to limit concurrent logins to just one, or maybe two or three, but probably just one. One login at a time per computer. Now, I'm no computer security genius, but from what I know, it's not too hard to fool that type of thing. So, since EVE Online's players have a very high percentage of IT workers, people who are very good with computers, and are likely able to pull stuff off like that very easily, I don't think that's going to necessarily stop people from exploiting that mechanic. So the next possibility is to make all alpha clones have a yellow safety by default. That's more of a sure thing. However, to deny alpha clones the ability to do high-sec ganking at all, just because some people abuse it, I don't think that fits in with what EVE is. EVE Online as a game is great because it's dangerous. It's great because you can go into it and there are laws that are breakable. Even though there are punishments for those laws, you can break them, and in some cases win or have an advantage by breaking those in-game laws. So, that's what makes EVE so good, and I hate to see that limited. But at the same time, as you can see from the fitting on my screen right here, this is a max skill Galante alpha clone. So this is the best you can do as a Galante alpha clone. So this is a catalyst, which is a very common chip used for this purpose, and this is a relatively cheap fit, not super cheap. It says it's 11.6 million. My guess is that once the November expansion comes, prices on a lot of these modules, like the Modal guns, is going to go up, because there's going to be a higher demand for the best named Tech 1 version of the guns, since they can't use Tech 2. So that's probably going to go up. These implants are super cheap. You've got this small hybrid 603, that's 3% extra turret damage. That's usually about a million ISK or less, sometimes more depending on market manipulation. SS 901, 1%, less than a million. And a weapon upgrades, 1%, less than a million. All very cheap, very easy to get from the LP store, and there's no reason why people wouldn't run them. You have to run this weapon upgrades for CPU. Alternatively, you could drop your ship scanner. It's not really needed. I just put it there because there's nothing else really to put in your mid slot, and because you probably, in some cases, like if they're AFK miners, you would want to scan them and see what they have on their ship and then kind of pick your target. It used to be a tactic where some mining barges would use faction shield boosters. It's faction small, or actually it might have been Dead Space smalls. Either way, they were very valuable, so you could go through high-sec and scan miners, find which ones were using those, gank them, and then make a solid profit from it. I don't know if that's still the case. I haven't done high-sec ganking in years, but nonetheless, 518 DPS. Of course, you would be overloaded because you're not going to stay alive for 42 seconds anyway, so you might as well overload the entire time. Damage rigs because you need as much DPS as possible. That's the only concern, is how much DPS output you have, which is why you have 3 mag stabs. But 518 DPS for an alpha clone, I mean, that's incredible. And for the price, it's also incredible. So when you look at that and you say, well, 10 of these is obviously 5,180 firepower. That's going to be enough to kill a large variety of ships. I mean, it depends on what security status you're in. If you're in a 0.5 system, you're going to have quite a while where you can apply that DPS. So there's certainly a threat there, and knowing EVE Online and the players of EVE Online, if CCP leaves that hole open, it will be exploited. 100%, no doubt about it. So it's definitely something they're going to have to address. But for now, I thought you guys would be interested in seeing just what this looks like, just what the capabilities are, and whether or not you really should be concerned. My vote is there's only one of these, then that's fine. Just one of these is not such a big deal. If there's 5 of them, 10 of them, 20 of them, that's potentially not quite game breaking, but high sec breaking. So it's something they're definitely going to have to address.